What's up travelers, and welcome back to No Man's Sky. I was planning to make this video for quite a while now, and I'm glad I finally got a chance to do so because there's a lot of cool stuff being planned to be added in this game. A lot of you might not know this, but there's a very useful data mine section on the No Man's Sky wiki page thanks to the amazing community this game has. The reason I'm covering this now comes in light to the fact that the most recent update that brought in the new Pilgrim Exocraft also brought in customization with it, and I think the vast majority of players simply don't realize how important this new feature is and what it means for the future of No Man's Sky. To put things into perspective, up until very recently with the next update, we had no customization to speak of. Like everything that made a character unique, such as ships and multi-tools owned, were acquired exclusively through RNG, and even today this is still true and RNG is a major part of the game, but I think that will change very soon. We already saw shifts in this regard with the character customizer and most recently with the Exocraft customizer, and from the looks of it, Halo Games are bringing in a lot of RPG styled features. In the data mine page I was talking about earlier, we have references to ship and multi-tool customization, but other amazing features exist there as well, such as features for more survival gameplay. Wormholes are being mentioned, as well as other amazing gameplay mechanics. I will be covering all of that in this video, but I will do it in a different order compared to how it is on the website itself, as I will start first with the customization itself because I find that to be a more pressing issue. So there are a bit over a handful of data strings that refer to vehicle and weapon customization, and there is one for starship modification as well. Later down the line we have interaction strings that read recalibrate starship visuals, and similarly they exist with vehicle and weapons as well. One of these three, which is the vehicle customization, was already brought in the game with the most recent patch, which means that weapons and ships should follow soon. Since Exocrafts were made to be upgradable very similarly to how ships and multi-tools are done, it makes me believe that whatever will follow soon in terms of customization will be indeed similar to how it is now with Exocrafts. We also had a hint from a few months back when someone was able to get the starship customization to work, and if you were unaware, parts of that feature already exists in the game and it can be accessible through modding, but since it's incomplete it doesn't work too much. Nonetheless, it gave us a general idea on how it might end up looking, and from the looks of it, it's quite similar to the way it's been done with Exocraft. So most probably there will be several sections, with the first one being for the primary and the secondary colors, and subsequently we have sections for the ship decals and the places to apply it to. Unfortunately for now, I don't think picking and choosing parts in the customizer itself is going to be a possibility, as that would require quite a little bit more work compared to a simple color changer, but it's still a small step in the right direction, and it means that for some of us the RNG is going to be completely erased. Like, I already have very beautiful models, but for some of them I don't like the coloring. I want to change some of that. I want to have control over what colors I can pick over my ships, and this is a very good step in the right direction. It will remove some of the RNG that plagues this game. As a matter of fact, for the vast majority of people, this should be a very good addition. Similarly, this should be the case with multi-tools as well. Most probably changing parts will not be available at first, only colors and decals, but it's still good enough as desirable models are still easy to find thanks to how connected the No Man's Sky community is. In order to access these customization options, we will most probably require new terminals to be added in the game. So just like in the case of Exocrafts, we will need ship and, well, multi-tool ones as well, but in the case of ships, according to the data mine feature, this was being done at the space station itself by the use of the character customizer, which already exists in the game. I honestly don't think that will be the case once this feature or these features will come out, and I think there's going to be new terminals being added for that, as it will be useful for the base building as well. So just putting it down there, but I think this will be enough, at least in part, up until Halo Games will add true functionalities to a real customizer. So what I want to see see is that in the end version of these features, we can pick and choose which parts to add to a certain model. So if you want a certain type of wing to a certain type of cockpit, do that. Or if you want crystals on a different multi-tool, I really hope to see something like that being added eventually in No Man's Sky. Since we're still on the subject of ships, it seems that ship races are also on the menu. The only data string refers to the Starship Race Initiator, which is very similar to its Exocraft counterpart, and it reads the following. This platform acts as the start and finish line for Starship field tests, allowing travelers to practice maneuvering and speed. I'll quickly mention here that this sounds like a significantly harder challenge compared to Hexacraft races, and depending on how many turn points you set on specific races, this might be either complicated or easy to pull off. So if it's just a straight line, then it's pretty simpler, but if you put in a lot of turn points, then it's probably going to get more complicated, as there's going to be a lot of drag on the ship itself. It's also not on the ground, so it might be a little bit complicated to do it in the air. Trade ship interaction is also planned to become more meaningful. Currently, outside of just shooting another NPC down, you don't really have too many options to interact with them. Like, there's literally nothing you can do. Of course, you can wait for them to land down on trading posts or space station and buy from them or acquire their ships, but nothing more to that. One of the data strings referred to saving NPCs from attacking pirates, and while they already exist in the game in the form of, well, you already know this, they basically attack you and steal their loot. In this alleged feature, they will be able to attack other NPCs as well, and you have the option to save them, which sounds pretty cool. I mean, it brings a little bit of variation in the overall gameplay, and it's nice to see somebody else getting attacked for a change for what they carry in their inventory. So pretty cool stuff. You also have the option to not intervene and just let them die like poor fools, but it's a nice thing to have in the game. One of the first things being present on the page is in regards of a new mechanic that definitely aches towards survival gameplay. It looks like Hello Games is heavily invested in bringing cooking in No Man's Sky, and there are entries for a lot of ingredients, for a new technology, and a lot of recipes. So we have stuff like raw ingredients, we have edible products, which these two seem to look like certain categories, but we have specific products as well, such as something called proto sausages and even Diplo's chunks. So pretty cool stuff. Kind of means that we'll have to hunt animals down for their skins, for their meat. You can also take plants and like just combine all of that into certain type of food. Now the list of ingredients is very extensive, and it's probably a feature that Hello Games has worked upon for quite some time now by the looks of it. And while certain interactions are described later down the page, such as consuming processed food, there's no entry for what effects the food will bring. But typically in most RPG games that feature cooking, the resulting products typically give beneficial bonuses such as more HP, more stamina, movement speed, and so on. I would assume this would be the case with No Man's Sky cooking as well, should this feature be implemented at some point. Later down the line, we even have a couple of technologies that will help you with food processing, and we have a technology called the nutrient processor, which is basically treated like a glorified oven. I mean, even the tag itself has that word into it. The description reads that it's able to process and refine gathered ingredients into edible food products. User is advised that consumption of generated product is entirely at their own risk, so there might be some adverse effects as well. It would be cool to get poisoned by not cooking something properly, and there is definitely poisoned meat in the game, because later down the line you can even see the meat being affected by the environment. So for example, on toxic planets you will have toxic meat, probably will require quite a lot of processing to like clean off. Not sure why you would even want toxic meat to begin with, but well, at least the glorified oven gives you the option to do that. But you also have frozen meat on frozen biomes, pretty cool stuff, and it all depends on the environment, and it looks to be way more complex than initially thought. And I think if you're aiming for a survival type of gameplay, this will definitely add to it. Like, set up a camp somewhere and just cook for yourself. It makes sense. I mean, we are farmers, we grow plants all the time, we build high-end products from them. Might as well also make a salad out of it while we're at it. Why not? It makes sense. It definitely, you know, fits with No Man's Sky, and I think this is a good change. And I'm willing willing to bet that this will be even implemented into the near future. There was even a hint from Sean Murray himself when someone asked him on Twitter about his opinion on ingesting food, and his reply was pro, just pro. So he probably already knows that we know that they are planning to add food and cooking in No Man's Sky, and I'm really curious to see what benefits there are. Another requested feature for those who love planetary exploration is also in the works, and it comes by the name of Research Station, and it reads the following: an advanced data analysis station of particular use to explorers attempting to catalog a planet in its entirety. The station takes its environment data and offers its prediction for likely locations of undiscovered creatures. So for all of those looking to catalog planets and struggling with the last couple of species, this is most probably going to help with that. It looks very good and I really like this. It's probably going to get me to do that cataloging even more, because I've kinda left it off for a year now. I have not cataloged a single creature unless I needed some fast money. Outside of that, I didn't even bother with it, especially for 100% completion, because it's so tedious to find the last few species. Luckily enough, Hello Games has thought about that, and the new research station is addressing that, at least in part. And finally we have the wormholes, which seem to be connected to your fleet somehow. I don't want to jump the gun to say that this might be a mechanic similar to the already existing black holes, as it might just be a quest dialogue that just mentions that terminology, but I find it intriguing that it refers to bringing the player in a certain place rather than the player going there himself. I honestly thought that there might be two possibilities with the wormhole, one in which you can use the wormhole to instantly teleport to your fleet or to your freighter directly on it without using your ship. It would make sense because out of all of the places we can teleport, our own fleet is the only one that we can. So something like beaming up the player and bringing him up, but it doesn't really fit the category of wormholes. Another one would be traveling between galaxies, and that makes a lot more sense from a gameplay point of view, but it completely not makes sense from a story point of view, because if you finish the main storyline and move on to the next galaxy, from a lore point of view, you do so because the previous galaxy gets destroyed, so you can't really come back unless you travel back in time, and wormholes kinda do that. I mean, you could use a wormhole to travel back in time to the previous galaxy you were onto with no adverse effects, and it would be pretty cool. I mean, it would be useful for all of those who made the wrong choice of moving into the next galaxy, and that's what I'm also expecting with the wormholes, should they be added at some point in the game. And I really wish for a method to travel between galaxies is being worked upon, because it kinda already works with like the weekly events, because if you like do the weekly events, you can basically use a teleporter to travel between galaxies, and that is even possible if you edit your game files, though it's rather hard to pull off. And this pretty much covers the data mine stuff that exists on the No Man's Sky wiki. This is also what I'm expecting to be added in the near future. There's some other stuff in there as well, like localized missions. You can go ahead and check it out. I didn't cover that one because, well, it's just missions, except they're localized, so they will be specific to certain systems, and if you leave the system, you won't be able to do them in different ones. But other than that, there's not much to it, and this pretty much covers everything of importance that I could find on that page. Tell me, what are you excited most about? Are you expecting wormholes to be the most important one? Do you want more ship and multi-tool customization, or are you looking for that cooking feature? I'm honestly waiting for mostly the customization and the wormhole itself. Other than that, I don't really care because I really love how Hello Games is handling the updates. But in the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, a like and a subscribe would be super appreciated. Also activate that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So peace out.